There you go.
Duly noted.
Part of the internet thing.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and take the roll. Myself, Beth Ratty is here. Eve Marks,
Present.
Kathleen Teeple,
Here.
Megan Hughes, Cheryl Adamczyk here, and the City of Seaside Council Liaison Tita Montero
Here.
Library Director Jennifer Reedy,
Present.
Assistant Library Director Josh Moore. Everybody's here. Can I have approval of the minutes from February 6th?
Having read the minutes, I approve them.
I would second and all in favor?
Aye.
Both voted. The meeting minutes from February 6th have been approved. Josh, Assistant Director report.
Good afternoon, everyone. Going to go over programs in February, looking ahead to March. Some of our highlights from February include we had our monthly board game night on February 7th. We had 14 people show up, which is our largest attended board game night that we've had, which is good. You know, we had at one point like 4 or 5 different tables doing.
Was that the adult board game?
Board game for grown-ups.
And Cheryl, in your packet, you'll have all of,
It's all here, Cheryl.
I was looking at that.
And that was because the other group that we got
I think it was helpful. I think that was helpful, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure, okay.
And then the following Saturday, we had a film screening of Sullivan's Travels with film historian Paul Laverick, which had 6 people attend for the screening and the discussion. Thursday, February 22nd for Candace Finger Smith's Peking Express and the lynching outrage. We had 19 people. I believe it for Thursday. It's great for Thursday. Great for one of our events anyways. If we get in that teen range is usually pretty good. Anything over 20 these days.
Was that for teens?
No, this is an adult program.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
And then our film screening of A Good Person, our contemporary film for the month on Saturday the 24th had 3 people. And so we had a total number of February adult events with 42 people come out for our events. Looking ahead to March, which is a pretty big one, we have our regular board game night tomorrow night at 5:30. On Thursday, we're welcoming the Oregon Poet Laureate Denise Montreoni, who will be here Thursday the 7th at 5:30 in this room. Seeing really good traction on our Facebook ad and our events. We've got a lot of people who seem to be pretty interested in coming with them. Surprised by. Very dynamic speaker. Hopefully you guys can come. Our movies for the month on Saturday the 9th, we'll be doing the French Connection with Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider. And on the 23rd, Queen of Conway, which is a Disney produced movie. It's a biopic on Ugandan chess player Fiona Mutsi, who is basically discovered in the slum of Kotwe and in the city of Kampala and has turned into one of the chess champions in Africa. Yeah, it's a really great inspirational true life story, which also sort of goes well as it's being Women's History Month. So I thought that would be a good movie to watch. It's going to be on the 23rd. And both of those movie events are at 1 o'clock. And then the last adult program I would like to mention is at the end of the month on March 30th at 2, we will be Masters semifinalist Kelly Bartlett. Lego Masters is a television program on Fox, and she got to the semifinalists in the season that aired last year.
Is she local?
She's in Wilsonville.
Oh.
Yeah. So she'll be coming out doing a presentation on what she does and these creations that she does. She gets commissions essentially for a number of different places to do like replicas of things and very like realistic looking stuff too. The people who put the stuff together are like wizards. I don't know how they do it. Like I'm putting together little, square things. Like here's a robot with my children, and she's doing like here's City Hall of this town or whatever. I don't know how these people do it. But so she'll be here talking about her process as well as being on the show as well, which I'm sure is really interesting to see how that kind of thing happens. So, so she'll be here to talk about that. We have our team programs coming up, and they've moved, right? I forget that on Wednesdays, these days. This week they're doing a tech take apart, so there'll be, I think it's, do you know what kind of tech they're gonna be doing? I can't even remember.
I think it's all of our discarded tech.
Oh, okay, it's our stuff.
Had failed to, make. Computers, doesn't work anymore or.
See what they can do with it.
efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then the Saturday will be the teen book club. They're gonna be reading The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Wednesday, next week is this Kind Eyes collaborative art project. So the starting point, well, like, let's make something with like the eyes as the focus. You can see from my image that I did find on the calendar is like, this is the kind of thing that is done sometimes. And so that's like sort of the genesis for the art that is going to be done that day. On the 20th, at 3, will be a blind taste test. I cannot remember what they will be tasting, what kind of food or beverages on this one. But I'm sure that will be fun. And then on Wednesday, the 27th at 2, they're doing a Lego design challenge. It's also sort of running up to spending as well as, there's also the Lego club that goes on as well. So that's the teen events. Story times this month. We'll be doing cheese this week. Who doesn't love cheese? Appropriately Pie Day on 3/14, right, on month 14. Forest animals are I think I wrote on here, I believe, I do have a typo on here, the story times are at 10:30, not 10, so. Make a note of that for especially those doing the minutes. On March 21st, it's forest animals, and on the 28th, it is chips. We have some additional programs. I already mentioned the Youth Lego Club is on Saturday the 16th at 11, all month. Marion is running this Teen Spring Reading Challenge. And then it's got the Lego Design Challenge also for the teens on Wednesday the 27th, but they're running a challenge for grades K through 5, beginning at 10 o'clock, the 27th.
Is the spring reading challenge only for March?
Believe so. It might extend, I believe this is tough one second, this isn't my program, it's at least through March. If it's April, I will then say, hey guys, it's April, and we're still doing the teen spring challenge, but it's still spring.
I'm gonna go with, I'm going out on a limb, and I'll say that it's March because that last week of March is the spring break.
It is
spring break. Yes, so that's why there's sort of an abundance of
Right.
opportunities.
And then I forgot to write in my report, but definitely would like to get down in the minutes as well. We just ended our first art show of the year. We had Dan Photography here January and February. I just took down the show last week. And then I'm halfway done putting up our new art show, Kathy Stern's art show, colored pencils. The show's called Expressions Beyond the Surface, and that will be running through April.
What's the name?
Kathy Stearns is the name, Stearns, Kathy with the C. Very colorful, very original work.
Color
Pencil, yeah.
And they all just arrived today, right?
Just got,
Yeah, this morning.
so yeah, I've got everything up in here. I've got a big piece out in the hallway, and I'll be finishing up, if anything, by midday or so tomorrow. Mid-afternoon, so.
And she has information at the front desk
Yes.
with these postcards, if you want any more postcards, or if you want any more information about her or the work.
Yeah, there's like a booklet with like artists with her like bio and artist statements and information on the pieces and things like that. I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any questions for Josh? Okay. Jennifer, you're up next. Library Director report.
I believe the foundation has landed on April 20th for the fundraiser. So that'll be the
That's the
history one.
Oh,
it's fun. Mhm.
Where it will be.
It will be in the library. And so we'll be setting up starting on the 19th. And we'll have I believe, light refreshments and beer and wine and non-alcoholic things available. And yeah, I was at a foundation meeting at 6 tonight, so I'll learn more.
So it's called a mystery night?
It is called Caper at the Coast. Caper at the Coast.
But it's a mystery night, basically.
Yeah, so the mystery essentially is that the giant orange chair in front of the tourism, it was stolen. And so there are clues and you can work in teams and trying to solve the mystery of the giant orange chair. And, I believe that there will be a winner of the challenge, and there were 2 chairs. We have 2 orange chairs as a giveaway.
For the prize.
Yes, that have been procured and then Linexed with orange, whatever.
Steak or.
Oh, no,
Don't have it over your house. Just like a normal sense.
And then we also printed, I should have brought one. We've been trying to figure out how to print miniature ones on the 3D printer, and I do have one actually sitting on my desk. A miniature orange chairs.
Mini.
Mini.
I like them.
Yes.
Adirondack, aren't they called?
Yes.
Yep. So that'll be April 20th, and as soon as I believe it's gone live in terms of being able to purchase tickets, but maybe that's more what we'll discuss tonight. And we are moving forward with scheduling some of the routine maintenance for the building. Probably first 2 priorities I see would be the carpet cleaning and power washing the exterior of the building. So we're working on that, and some things have already even been taken care of by our amazing Public Works Department. So we had some rot on the south side window frames, the kind where you can just like stick your finger right through it.
Oh, yes.
But you can't power wash windows, can you?
No, we would have someone actually do the windows, yes. So that Public Works repaired that for us and also replaced our lighting in Friends book sale display alcove,
Oh,
which
nice. Cool.
has not worked ever. So we're just gonna start chipping away at those projects. Happy to report, so Rock Reading Outreach Clatsop County, the nonprofit that all 3 libraries are involved with. We make an annual request of United Way to fund the program. And this year, while we didn't get the full amount that we asked for, we got a higher percentage than we've ever gotten in the past. And we feel it may be because all 3 directors showed up to the presentation, along with Jessica, who's our contract worker, and we were able to sort of fully explain the project, and I think they really saw that it's obviously something that we're all committed to by showing up.
That's nice.
Yes, so it was great. So we'll just keep on building and expanding those services and programs through Rock. And
The arts work
I'm sorry,
are
ours reading.
reading of.
Reading outreach, Clatsop County. And the archives project continues to kind of move along. I keep finding new things as I open other doors and stuff. So they're keep finding some fun, interesting things in there. Hopefully that will continue to sort of evolve and we'll figure out sort of what it'll look like once we get to a point of saying, oh, we now have this that we can do something with.
And who is the volunteer?
Her name is Jenny
And she's
Gray. She's a recent transplant to the area,
Oh,
retired. She was.
She's in the Bay Area.
Bay Area, she's a scientist. She actually talked with my son at length about the importance of physics. And doing the homework. So I was like, thank you. It's always better coming from someone else. Yeah, she's very, very sharp and just a really, a nice addition. An already pretty impressive list of volunteers. We will be submitting a grant to the State Library of Oregon. And it would be to fund our summer intern, essentially, a teen intern. And what we realized is we have submitted an application to get it potentially an intern through the Clatsop Works program. And I did ask for additional funding in the budget request from the city, not realizing that this is also another possible way for us to get this funding, so that would be great. And they have an abundance of dollars to spend toward this.
To run a full-time.
It would be, I think we landed on 25 hours a week.
And the intern is a teenager or it's for the teen program?
It would be a teenager. Yes, and
when do you find out? Because summer's coming pretty soon.
yes, so we actually have the first couple of meetings for the Clatsop Works. So there's kind of two things happening at the same time. We're hopefully getting an intern through the Clatsop Works program. And then the grant application is due March 15th. So we'll probably know within a few weeks whether or not that is funded. But either way, we knew that we were going to move forward with the Clatsop Works intern if we found a likely candidate.
And then do you find a candidate or they do?
Clatsop Works funnels individuals to us, so they do all of the promotions for getting the word out about the internship, which is great. And then we would go through the sort of standard hiring process of the city. They would apply through the city and we would interview them. This might be, a first interview opportunity for a student. And hopefully we'll get a good fit. And, a variety of different types of projects. We want them to really have a full understanding of what happens at the library, So some of that might be dusting shelves and some of that might be, helping Jenny maybe with the archives project. And ideally, what the grant asks for is that an experience is created that the student gets the most out of. So we actually may design a program once we land on who the person is. So if we end up with someone who is bilingual, maybe we expand bilingual storytime services through the summer, or we essentially work with them to create a project that is meaningful for them, but also is something that we're able to.
Right, and also introduce them to the possibility of a career on one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is Clatsop Works?
It's through the community college.
Oh,
And it's so Misty Bateman, I believe,
I
is
see
the.
signs up for it when I teach up there all the time.
And
the small business administration.
So is the intern a high school or college?
High school. Yes,
And it's from either Seaside, Astoria, or Warrenton?
yeah, ideally.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, the Clatsop Works does all of the promotions to the local schools.
So they're made aware of it.
Kids that are homeschooled before they hear about it.
That's a great question, and I don't know. I'll ask about that because, we'll probably have, we have our big group of teams that we get pretty regularly at our programs are homeschooled kids. So we can talk with them about if there's a network.
And then are they paid?
Yes.
And how much are they paid?
More than minimum wage.
Okay.
Wow. That's how you
Yes,
get paid more than a to teach them.
Yes, they're probably getting paid more than you, but you are not eligible for. Well, the interesting thing is that, we heard a horror story from Astoria that they did, publish, this, the Classic Works intern, job through their traditional channels. And they got all sorts of applications from people who,
Right.
grown-ups from,
Oh,
like Portland who wanted to come out and
Yeah.
and work for minimum wage. Minimum wage.
Wow, I'm not surprised by
Yeah.
that.
So, people see jobs and, if they're, anyway, so we.
Yeah, everybody's over.
so the Classic Work screams everybody.
I don't know.
Yes,
Like adults,
yes. Well, and then we would receive the applications through our process and then we would choose who to.
Basically, what they're trying to do is promote work during the summer for high school kids.
Right, well, that's what any intern program does.
And it's how they test out careers too.
Yeah.
Right, if they're interested in that kind of career.
And the Classic Works program also, there's a weekly mandatory
Right.
2-hour meeting, I think,
I think
in
so.
the morning. So the teams are coming together as a group and probably getting some additional job readiness information, et cetera. So
Do you have any idea what other kind of intern programs they offer besides the library?
for Classic Works,
Well, Classic Works goes out into the community and they recruit employers. So they're recruiting employers in Astoria, all through Classic County. So they recruit employers, they go to the high schools and they recruit students. And then they're looking to match them up. And some of the matching is the student expressing what kind of business they want to work in. And of course, the employers expressing, these are some minimum requirements we have.
Do you know who any of the other businesses are?
I can tell you that in the past, the accounting office that I work for has had an
Oh, have
intern.
they?
yeah, I'm trying to think, that on their Facebook page, they had some pictures that popped up.
Right. I think this year the Seaside Museum's gonna have one.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and they've had their challenges for the past few years, getting employers and getting students. One year they got quite a few students out of Jewel, and a big challenge there was the transportation coming into.
So it'll be exciting.
Interesting.
And the grant application adds sort of another layer of complexity to having the intern. So there's the Classic Works complexity component, and then there's what we need to present to the state of Oregon once either through the project and then at the end of the conclusion of the project. But Marion is our youth librarian. Is on board for that, and Josh will be sort of our point person here at the library, sort of as the volunteer coordinator, so he kind of will navigate some of it to me.
I think the fact that you're looking to use the grant to pay for the Classic Works program in turn is a positive for whoever's going to be reviewing the grant requests.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, it worked out really well. And we've actually learned of that connection when we had a planning meeting or sort of an information gathering meeting with Suzanne at the Astoria.
Right. Do you have any idea how Classic Works makes their money? Do they get part of the grant money?
No, they don't get any money for this. So we just, as an employer who signed on to host an intern or hire an intern, we have said, and we will pay them. So I think in the past, the city had an intern.
Yeah, the city has had interns through Classic Works. Classic Works is part of the community college. It's funded through the Small Business Administration.
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
So, right. So they get their funding that way, they don't get any part of the money that would be paid to the student.
But it's great that they're taking
Yes.
on so much of.
The State Library of Oregon is the one who would give us the money.
Correct. Mhm. And I believe I asked, or we will ask for at a meeting with Marianne, my brain is today. In the next few days to finalize the grant application, and I believe we're requesting $4,500 to cover the cost, and they're also like, you must use all of it too. So. It's a lot of little moving parts, and hopefully, this will be our pilot year of it, and maybe there's something we'll do each year. Although the grant from the state, they have said they tend to prioritize applicants who haven't applied in the past or recent recipients. So it might not be we can go back to every year. But it could be something that I just put into the budget request as we move forward. So that'll be exciting, and maybe, if the timing would work out, I would love to have them come to a library board meeting. Experience that. And one update to that final bullet, we were asked to choose dates to present our annual reports to city council. And I chose my 1-year anniversary, which will be May 13th. So,
good.
wow. And I sort of jokingly said, I feel like I've already given like 3 annual reports. So I'm 10 months, but sure, okay, happy to do that. So I will, I would love to have your input as to what you would like to see in this presentation, or what you as library board members find sort of interesting and compelling and stuff that we should share. So if you think of stuff, feel free to send them my way. I'll start working on a framework of the presentation, and then
Certainly the banned book issue would be high on my list.
In the past, reports from department heads have been very data and numbers heavy. This year, I've discussed this with Spencer already. I think we're looking more towards the human side of it and the community experience side of it. So, I mean, if you had some videos of the kids at Story Hour. Yeah,
I'm sure.
the art. Because the data is fine, but it doesn't make the library or any of the departments alive or live. And I think that's what we're looking for.
I have a question regarding the banned books. Did the state of Oregon pass legislation that you can't ban books? Or I thought they said on the
Only in
radio.
schools.
So
Right.
I heard that on the radio.
over that HB.
Which number it is.
89.
Did it pass both houses? Or-
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
Thank you.
that they were listening to arguments on both sides.
I didn't realize it was in school, so.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the biggies. I did want to also add with something I didn't put on here, but I feel like I maybe mentioned it previously, that we are piloting having radio ads on 94.9 The Bridge for the library.
Good deal.
And
Oh, I love that.
it's a lot of fun, I think. Yeah, so we recorded, so we have a standard ad that's running like 45 times throughout the month. We started them a week before March, and then we're running them through like the 3rd week of March. So we have the standard one.
So we're already doing it? So
Yeah, they're on the radio, so there's just like little 30-second kind of filler pieces,
Yeah.
and it was an idea from Boomer and Colleen to make it sound like a press meeting. I'm not saying press conference, thank you. So Boomer says, okay, now we'll hear from the voice of the library. Ken Heeman at the
Oh, he's got a good voice.
is a great voice. So he is the voice of the library, but Colleen lassoed me into being one of the question askers. So it's Boomer and then it's Ken saying, all right, I'll take a question. And then Colleen asks a question like, so what can you do at the library? You know, tell me what the library is all about. And he says, well, it's a place where you can, I actually have the audio here. She sent me a blurb of it. Yeah, thanks, Josh. And then I say, do you have anything in the books, anything at the library other than books? And she did it in one take, which was, and I've never been in a radio studio before, and it was very exciting.
They're fun.
And it's even bigger part, which is really, really exciting. So we also have these kind of longer weekly, like this week at the library, because you know, we have Denise Johnny coming, we have this Lego challenge, we have some like big things that we really want to promote. In addition to saying, and support the Friends of the Library by, you know, coming to the book sale or and all of our programs are free and you don't need a library card, that kind of thing. So the really super cool thing is that the top readers for the winter reading challenge that happened sort of over winter break. So the highest number, I think there were 4 kids who ended up with just knocking it out of the park in terms of how many minutes or hours they read for the program for the Puffins. And Marion was able to navigate with the schools and the parents and get permissions. And the kids are going to record little radio ads at 9490 Bridge.
Oh, that's
And that was like
great.
kind of we didn't have a prize in mind. It's like what you would get if you were a top reader, but this thing just happened at the same time and it worked out. So I think those are getting recorded in the next, like not the end of this week, but the end of next week. And then they're gonna run the week right before spring break and they're gonna do all the promotions for.
Was that teens or all kids?
They are like 10-year-olds. Yeah, so the winter reading challenge was for K through 5. So these are like fourth graders were the top readers, so.
So you said you have some audio there, you can.
Yes, trying to audio.
Can we do something like this with KMUN?
Yeah, so I am reaching out to KMUN because I don't think they would charge, like we're paying kind of a small fee for having this.
Can you tell me about the Seaside Library? So the Seaside Library is a place where everyone's welcome to do research, to learn something new, also just a place you can to get out of the rain. Yes, you there in the scarf. Thanks. Does the library have anything other than books? Great question. Absolutely. Great programs for kids, teens, and adults. Today, check out the library at seasidelibrary.org or in person.
That's
Good. Wow, yes, that's fun.
So
That's really good.
Boomer is very inventive.
yeah, it was, they were a lot of fun to work with. So we'll see how this goes. And I have sort of an informal poll going with staff, so if someone comes in and asks about, you know, that they've heard about this program and saying, how did you hear about it?
Yeah.
To see if this is
Right.
having some additional reach, so
Great.
that'd be fun.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Okay. Jennifer, the old business learning opportunities for the library board in 2024.
Yes, so the Oregon, I think I mentioned the last time, the conference down in Salem. It turns out there's, I don't believe there's as many virtual options available, through Oregon Library Association. But the PLA, or the Public Library Association, will have more virtual options, but those are much more expensive, unfortunately, too. So I'm continuing, I do know that the Oregon Library Association in general, like separate from the annual conference, does offer lots of online learning opportunities throughout the year. So I will continue.
As does United Library.
United for Libraries, yeah. So we'll keep looking for those, and I'll just share them out sort of as needed and as they come up.
Under old business, last time you talked about, you were currently in talks with History and Hops about sponsoring a speaker.
Yes, I can tell you more about that. So
With who?
Steve Wright, the mayor of Seaside, who is also the head of the president of the museum, has been, I think he said this is coming on the 10th year.
For History and
For
Hops.
History and Hops. And so I chatted with him about the opportunity of us sponsoring a speaker potentially, since they don't have any money to pay for speakers. And he had really been wanting to have, for example, Zachary Stocks come and talk about the story of York at one of these programs, but he needs to have a stipend. And I said, okay, how about if the library pays and we get to kind of piggyback on each other, you know, I put my name on it and he puts his name on it, and so it would be kind of a program in tandem. And what ended up coming out of that meeting is that we decided to just partner all the time. So we haven't come up with a budget or anything like that. And for the most part, he's able or has been able to find speakers who just want to come and talk about their stuff. And they don't necessarily, you know, they get a meal maybe and a drink at the brewery. But in terms of the stipend, you know, if there was someone who maybe a bigger name or someone coming in from farther away, that the library would sponsor that. So we will be co-hosting History and Hops beginning in September. Moving forward. So which means I will be using that, you know, that information for our data in terms of programs, because it'll essentially be an offsite program that we're hosting. And, you know, just as Josh usually gets up in front of when he hosts a program, kind of talking about other things that's going on, it's just another opportunity where I have this captive audience, you know, and they're eating and drinking, so they're.
So before the speaker, you get up and talk about the library.
Yes,
So how often is that? I don't know.
it's monthly, it's
The last Thursday of every month.
the last
From
Thursday.
September through May.
Yep.
So we're gonna do everyone, sponsor everyone?
Well, we'll have our name on it essentially, and I will start attending them.
They're fun.
Yeah, they've been on my calendar
You
all
have
the
to
time.
be there really early to get a seat.
Yeah,
Yes, you do.
Because it's very small.
yes, which is why we were talking about promotions, and Mayor Wright said, you know, we really can't promote it any
No.
farther because.
Yeah, because we're getting too crowded.
It is
Yeah.
quite crowded, so. But it
They have
also,
more room upstairs.
They did, but there's no accessibility.
Right.
and it could be something that maybe we grow it into if there's someone who's interested in doing the evening program, we could have a follow-up on a Friday at the library, maybe, you know, so if there are those who attend at that point. So that's where that's going. History and Hops.
Thank you. Is there any questions about that or the learning opportunities? Okay. New business, library hours update. Jennifer?
Yes, so I have been investigating in the past 2 months, January and February, I swapped our shifts with Josh, so I work the 11 to 8 shift. And found that the numbers that I see in the door count absolutely reflect how quiet it is in the library from about 6:30 on. It's not quite crickets, but it's maybe 1, 2, I mean, it's quite quiet.
Is that due to the weather or the season?
No, because I have the door count numbers from, all year round. And you look at the graph and it sort of peaks right when we open till about 1 or 2, and then it drops off and then it falls off. It just flatlines at the end, so.
So are you thinking about changing
So-
some hours?
I'm investigating, so I'm bringing it to you all as new business. I did run it by Spencer and John just as this is what I'm thinking of. It would be a net zero change in terms of how many hours we're open. Because what I would look at is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are currently open until 7:30. And then staff is here until 8 and finishing up final business. The idea is to move that back to half an hour, so we would close at 7. And then staff would be scheduled till 7:15, so I'm looking at, this also would require kind of shifting their hours a little bit. So we would be open from 9 AM to 7 PM, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we would extend our hours to 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So it's a net zero.
Right, but just better use of time.
It would be 9 to,
So Friday and Saturday would be 9 to 5,
Okay.
and Sunday would be 1 to 5.
Because typically they close at 4 on Friday.
so if people are lined up to get in, which I've seen at 9 o'clock, would you consider opening earlier? 8:30?
Easy answer would be no, only because there is a fair amount of work that we have to do at the beginning of the day to get ready for the day. So right now, what we would be doing is shifting our staffing hours so that we'll use Friday, because that's a full day so as opposed to having the evening hours, we would be scheduled from 8:15 to 5:15. So in terms of the amount of non-patron contact time that staff would have is being reduced with this change, which I think is a better use of taxpayer dollars. Because we are a public library and open to the public. So to be able to reduce the amount of time that we're kind of doing the behind the scenes work in preparation, that's how that would end up getting shifted there. I mean, yes, the idea of moving a little bit earlier, but 9 is pretty standard. I mean, even, I know many libraries that don't open till 10, not
Seaside really doesn't wake up till 11.
I have heard that, but we do have folks lining up.
Well, I've been here at 8:30 and people are sitting waiting.
So when are you thinking that this would change?
So we've been investigating. I wanted to bring it to you all before making any of the next steps, but we've investigated, the cost for changing the signs on the door, and we have a checklist of all the places that we need to change. And we were kind of aiming for probably that first week, like a month from the point of you all hearing it and giving me your feedback as to what your thoughts are. So give
So
us some-
early April.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
I know you won't have a record of this, but just anecdotally, is it the same faces that you always see coming in after 6:30? Like, do you have regulars that are here late, or is it random?
That's a question.
That is a good question. It sort of varies. We might have 1 or 2 individuals who are experiencing homelessness at this point, or maybe trying to charge a phone for the last 30 minutes, restroom, kind of kind of get their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Beforehand, I think, I would actually be doing some outreach to our, community, resources. So, no worries. Our community resource officer, so, having him be able to share with the folks that he's coming, on, just letting them know that, these hours are changing.
It's a guy with a school box.
Oh, yeah. And then what about students? Do you have students that come in the evening?
No, we have some regular boys who come in the afternoon, but they're usually picked up by about 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's,
Do you want us to all tell you that's good with us or what?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's an official vote or if it's
No,
sort of
I don't know
you
that it is. Maybe it's just a discussion.
I personally like extending Friday and Saturday and Sunday to from 4 to 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Cause I know a lot of the times I'm running to get here and, oh yeah, that's right, they close at 4.
It's actually 4:30, but even that,
Oh,
it's still,
It's still,
yeah, I think being able to stay open till 5.
yeah, I like that.
Nice perk.
I wish it was 12 to 5 on Sunday because I get out of church and I'm gonna come over here and what am I gonna do for an hour?
Well, I mean, it's certainly something we could look into. It would mean an increase of
Right.
staffing,
Yeah, I
just
think
because it's, 12 to 5, yes, would be lovely. But it would require more staffing because we need to pay them. Because the majority of folks, the 3 individuals that we have that work on a Sunday are hourly. And they're less than 20 hours.
And I think the way you figured it out to make it cost neutral is a good thing.
And it just makes it cleaner, instead of a half-hour time.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I will move forward with the hours.
So you're thinking April,
Yeah.
if you can get everything changed?
Yeah. And the big thing is scraping off.
Exactly.
I would think it's gonna cost like $50 or something. It's pretty.
And the internet.
Yes,
Oh,
and that's all that.
And you
needs
used to hand out these little mark things that had your hours.
We have, yeah, so there's bookmarks, yeah, I'm working with Alex in generating the where does this information live list. And we'll just kind of create okay, who's gonna do it, how do we check it?
And then you'll find things here and there and go, oh, that's me.
Well, and you'll be able to run one of those ads that says the library's hours are changing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the big push for me was to make it a net zero change, in terms of how many hours that we.
Great, is that it? For new business? Okay, any questions? All right, the next meeting is April 2nd. And having no public here, I assume there's no public comments. Okay,
Great.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. You wanna write down the-